Hey guys, it's me, DDP, and it's about time to have another interview. We do them yearly normally with the Undisputed Universal Champion, the one and only American Nightmare, Dusty.
You're like my mom. My mom does that.
The one and only God, I fucked myself twice.
Nope, I love it. I'll be Dusty.
The one and only American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And dude, what a crazy ride it has been.
Oh my gosh. It's funny you almost said Dusty, but legitimately my mom every now and then will go through every name before she gets to me. I'm like, man, how was I last on this? Hey Dusty, hey Dustin, Margaret, Teal. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, but no.
Well, me and your mom are about the same age.
Oh man, that's powerful personalities, you know? Like, I feel like the names, they compete with one another because Dusty was such a crazy personality. Dustin, Teal, such a crazy personality, so I get it.
Yeah, and your mom was all in the middle of it. You know, speaking of your mom, the only reason we have this relationship, or I got to do any things that I ever was able to do, is because when Dusty left Florida Championship Wrestling, you know, because they weren't making any money. He needed to make some money to support the family. And he went back to Vince. He did the polka dotted thing. I would call him, you know, because we had built such a strong relationship in Florida Championship Wrestling. And knowing how bad he is at returning phone calls, the fact that I'd catch your mom and she'd go, don't worry about it, Dusty will call you, Dallas. And I'll be damned, man. And that's what kept us together.
She was sincere.
Yeah, man. It was, that's why I thanked her in my Hall of Fame speech, man, because I know that if, oh wait a minute, here's this.
I was going to say, this ice cream, I could not sell it.
But if you don't like coffee, that's not the one I should.
I love coffee. I literally live off coffee.
Okay.
All right.
We just brought in some of Paige's new ice cream with the Ninja Maker.
Legit, it's astounding. This is amazing. So the Ninja Maker, this is the one that Steve made me get. Okay, so we have this.
Yes. I know, just try some of this, and I'm about to come out with my own protein powder at some point in the next 6 months. But try that.
Okay.
This is something unique. I've never tried anything like it before. That's called Muscle Egg.
It's called Muscle Egg?
Muscle Egg, and that's their chocolate caramel.
Mocha.
Oh, that's the mocha he's drinking right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the mocha.
It's great.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It's expensive. You know, it's not that you can afford it. But it's expensive. But, you know.
Dallas knows exactly how much money I make. He's literally one of the few people. Wrestlers all exaggerate about how much money they make, but because Dallas was there for contract negotiations, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I don't know wherever, but I thought, like, you know what? Let's just say the numbers. Let's say them out loud. Everybody else, so I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine who was asking about, like, oh, should I ask for this? Should I ask for this? And he was saying, I heard such and such is getting this, and I had to stop him. I was like, stop. Stop. Don't. If you heard such and such, just go off of your feeling. Don't use the locker room as your crew. This stuff's amazing. I'm sorry I'm eating on camera.
And just so you know, they sent me one bottle, I don't know, right in the beginning. Guess what, kind of like dealers send out cocaine. You know,
First one's free.
Back in the day, here, have some.
First one's free.
But it was my friends Brent and Autumn Swanson, and on this we're at the almost to the end of May. We're in June yet.
We're in June, man.
Damn, we're in June.
It's June 4th.
June 4th right now. And this weekend we're headed to do a workshop in Guelph, which is an hour and a half from Toronto, and that's where Brent Swanson and Autumn Swanson, and they're both professional bodybuilders and the nicest people. And they were like, God, it'd be really cool if you guys came up. And I thought, man, we haven't done a workshop up in Toronto area for a long time. So we went up and did that. And we already got like 120 some people signed up to come. And inspiration meets perspiration. So if you ever hear I'm coming, I don't do many of them anymore because it's like my downtime. But this is sort of like always work something kind of play into if I got to work. But they're the ones who turned me on to that, and that's pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, that's it's beyond amazing. It's very good. As many know, I don't always trust things that Dallas.
Hey, you got to admit, I've been on a roll.
Yeah, well, the Power Cuffs has been the one where I thought like, oh my gosh, amazing. And then there have been other things that you were right about, but they weren't fitness related. You know.
Oh, okay.
Production things,
right.
and the hierarchy of wrestling and the diplomacy of and how you think about something going into potential pivots, things of that nature. But the Power Cuffs for sure, this falls in line with those. Both of them do, because this is the muscle egg.
Yeah.
And this was made from the Ninja Creamy.
Yeah, but that's muscle egg and Kadava, which we will probably be replacing with our protein powder at some point. Oh, Mr. Kevin Nash. Kev, I can't answer this right now. I love you, but
Kevin Nash is cool, man.
No, he's awesome. Let me just let him pop in for a second.
I got a good Kevin story.
Hey, Kev, I'm sitting here with Cody Rhodes, and I was actually filming an interview. I said, I gotta answer this.
You gotta pick up for Kevin Nash, man.
Wait, what happened? Hold on, your speaker.
He's on one of your 50 Bluetooths.
Oh,
He's locked into.
Can you hear me, Kev?
I got you, dog.
Oh, I see what happened. I'm not the. How about now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, Kevin, it's Cody Rhodes. How are you?
Hey, Cody, what's up, buddy?
Oh, man, Dallas made me come over here to do this workout.
Hey, guys, it's me, DDP, and I am here with the Universal Champion.
Undisputed
Universal Champion, the one and only Cody Rhodes. And today, because Cody does believe in our Power Cuffs,
I do.
We're going to do a workout. And we've never done this workout before.
No.
Which will be chest and biceps. So I'll start us off with flat bench dumbbells.
Okay.
And then what do you want to go after that?
Something curls, I'd say, right?
Supinated curls?
Oh, yeah, supinated.
Okay,
You know how
supinated
you
curls?
remember supinated, by the way? It's a bowl of soup. That's what they tell you in
Are you serious?
kinesiology and all that. You're holding a bowl of soup. That's the only way I remember it.
Well,
Supinated. We're going like this.
set them up. Start at the bottom. Ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Ready.
Hit it. Three, two, there we go. Whew. It's crazy how you can make 20 pounds feel so much heavier. Ready?
Ready.
Hit it. Three, two. How about three? Yeah. Felt good though, huh?
Yeah, did. You're not a cheater on your curls at all. Your legs don't move at all.
Yeah.
I cheat as we get a little further on. Not too much, not where it's all, but just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I went to the pause and flex ship, dude, I had to go back down to 15th.
Yeah.
Now that I got that down.
And now he's feeding me protein ice cream, so it's a hell of a day. Hell of a day.
Yeah, my shoulders can't take it.
Hey, your AI photo is legendary, by the way.
Yeah. So many people fucking bought that hook, line, and sinker.
No. Well, you did it right. It's not like some people overdo it. It was just enough. They're like, dang, my gosh. Yeah, no, it was a good call.
Yeah, I popped huge when I saw
The
it.
thing was, like, if you read underneath, it was just like, I basically said it was AI.
Right. Because there was some guys.
Then I sent, like, the normal photo of what I actually look like. And people were like, well, you don't look bad. I'm thinking, fuck, I'm 65.
You're shredded still
man.
at 6'10 and 294.
What the fuck? I don't watch SmackDown that often. I miss Cody on Raw.
Yeah, it's been an adjustment moving to Fridays because I was so all over the 3 hours of Raw. And now with SmackDown just being in the little 2 hour block, but also it's a little more selective in how I've been used with SmackDown. So it's an adjustment for me. I watched Raw last night and I do miss it. I'm up for the challenge of Friday nights, but I miss Raw.
Well, I think what it is too is, and I don't know, I mean, what they're going to do psychology-wise, what they're going to do. But once they go to Netflix, that kind of opens the fucking Pandora's box on what the fuck you can say, do.
I think the idea is slowly, and we showed a little of it going into WrestleMania 40, but that's more of what Netflix Raw is going to look like.
For the first time ever, it will actually be Raw.
Yeah, very. yeah.
Right.
Took 40 years to get there.
That's funny. Where are you going to train? Back?
Yeah. Little back end, so. But my workouts now are like 40. I do 45 minutes, and then I do 20 minutes of kind of hit cardio, and I'm out of there. So
you still look great. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And you got and you got AI when you need it.
Yeah, I do. Anytime I want to get shredded, man, it's just one fucking dial away. Boom.
Ugh. All right, love you, buddy. I'll call you later.
Love you guys. Take care, man. Be safe, Cody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
I tell you, whenever anybody ever asks me, like I've got a bunch of favorites, and guys that I came up with, but if there's just one guy that like I'm stuck in a car for
Kev.
2 years straight, never out of the car, it's him. Because he can be big grouchy, man, but
so that's my fun experience with, we do that Rival show.
Right.
That's a long day of filming. You're there, you're talking about a lot of content, you're having to re-say things just to get the right angles and repeat, and I watching him just slowly get a little less, enthused is really fun, because then it relies on, I feel like it's my job, just like it would be if you were wrestling a match against each other. Then it's my job to okay, I'll try and bring the remaining energy or put some positivity on, because it's just fun. As we get near the end, I can see the producers struggling a little, because he's ready to go.
Yeah. When Kevin's ready to go, Big Grouchy shows up, boy.
For Big Grouchy makes for some really fun.
No, dude, don't get me wrong. I love Big Grouchy.
Yeah, he makes
not all the time.
Yeah, he makes for good points when we're all saying, "Oh, this could be this could be." He's the one to be like, "Well, they could have done this," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good point."
Yeah, he was. I thought there was a lot of stuff he did. When he was booking, he made sense on a lot of stuff, and he took a lot of heat. But it was a lot of it's bullshit. People behind the screen talking shit.
I feel like time remembers it way better than how it was treated in the actual moment, because now everybody gets points and is acclaimed for their business acumen, whereas at the time he was vilified for being a businessman. He was vilified for thinking about the dollars in it all, when today that's like a celebrated thing,
Right. It's everything. Everything flips and turns. Yeah. Okay. So let's. That was a fun distraction.
Yeah, a little detour.
Fun distraction. So, dude, we didn't get a chance to talk for really weeks and weeks, because I'd gone to Bora Bora and you were on this train. Yeah. What was it like? Because the last time I saw you, came to the curtain, you gave me a hug, gave Paige a hug, and good luck as you headed off into the abyss. I know you loved it, but it had to be like, was it? Tell me about it, because I really didn't get a chance to even talk to you about it. Like, you go on this thing where you're on everything.
The specifics of WrestleMania 40, I told somebody this the other day, and it's probably right where I'm at with it, is there's a high about that you want to get to and hit, and then there's a high you don't know about.
Right.
That's so beyond what you could have thought it would be. And that is where I found myself in the end of that match, where I wasn't just, this was it. This is how I wanted to feel. I feel so good. It was another level of feeling accomplishment and feeling pride, and the work we had done, and the work that everyone who was there, and in my case it was very and I actually would say that in most people's cases, I'm just thinking in a vacuum a little bit, but in my case it was very real. We went to dinner, the 20 of us or whatever, what was it, Thursday night, and then 2 nights in a row you guys have the suite, and everyone's like, that's why I got really I was really tickled when I asked at the dinner. I was like, hey, who was here last year? Everybody.
Everybody.
So the fact that like this real team of people, you know, my in-laws, my sister, my friends, little Brody, this real team of people were there for it. I thought, oh man, like this is really a real, sincere thing that's happening in the wrestling space, and for me, it was just a high I didn't know about, and now, I'll be honest, still in it.
Right.
Still in it. And Hunter asked me like 2 weeks after Mania. Triple H had asked me, he goes, have you come down yet? And I wanted to say like, yes, because we've got things that we're focused on now, we're moving towards now. And I was focused on them, and I was moving towards whatever was in front of me, but still like, I don't know, best way to describe it's like a fog, like this best fog ever that's just around. And, you know, I've said out loud a lot of times, like, we did this, we did that. And that's just, I feel good because for so long I couldn't say that. And yeah, just the greatest feeling I didn't know existed that now I know exists, and the sickness that all wrestlers have. And you got to chase it again, you know, you got to find it. But I also know if that's it, if that's the peak, it was a really exceptional build and run. I don't think it's the peak, but that was special.
Well, you know, your pops, and I've told you this before, but these people have never heard it. I'll never forget at TCW, is that what Turnbuckle?
Yeah, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling.
Yep. Yeah. And I was just sitting there because this is when I was getting ready to go to WWE.
Yeah.
And he said, there's only two things real in our business. That first world title and that Hall of Fame ring.
Hall of Fame ring, yeah.
And like for me, like there's two major highs. And the first one was, of course, Savage. You know, when Savage, you know, called Diamond Cutter, you know, and I want to beat him in the middle. It took me to a different spot that I didn't know existed, but it's nowhere near the spot you're talking about. Because that's like, you've ascended now, and I know you don't want to hear this shit, but it's the truth.
I don't mind it.
But you've ascended to that spot where a very chosen few have gotten to be at. You know, like, and you go all the way back to two Royal Rumbles, you know, back-to-back main events, you know, the biggest grossing, you know, and with that, we know you're going to get your haters too, because it's very, but what was interesting the year before, a lot of those haters turned out to be Cody friggin' people.
Sure.
You know, because they felt like you got screwed. And looking back at it, at the whole ride, would you change anything?
I know we could have made anything work in any direction. We took it. However, I feel like if I had to do this all over again, I wouldn't want anything to change. The story was different in terms of it wasn't as simple as comes back to WWE, wins WWE Championship. There was things that needed to happen, individuals I needed to be in the ring with, people to be around, and also the WWE audience, wrestling audience, I have nothing but positive things about wrestling fans ever. I can't find a negative in anything that they do.
Those three words. Well, all I can say is this. Since I was a little boy who grew up loving everything, for you to want me is special because I have always wanted you.
But they didn't have to respond to me the way they did.
Yeah.
They did, you know, like you can set, you know, booking or whatever the matches you're in or the TV time you get. These things all, obviously, we're trying to lead the audience, but they could have just fully rejected me. Here's this guy, he went off and started his own company. He was real bitter about how he left, and mid-card, jobber, all this. They really could have gone a different way with it.
Sure.
And that wasn't the case. And somebody asked me at Mania, why do you think? And the only thing I could tell them was, I think it resonated with people, my story, because it was a real story.
Sure.
wrestling is a suspension of disbelief. But man, you know this like more than anybody. When it's real, like the two things you mentioned, when it's real, it's just the best. It's the best TV. It's the best moment. It's the best.
And the fans, if you didn't win that in Philly, of all places, and Philly is notoriously a heel town.
Yes.
Yes. But if you get over there as a babyface,
Yeah.
you're really over. Like, I loved Philly.
I love Philly and I love Chicago for the reasons that you can pander to them or you can kind of kiss their butt and they automatically like, nah, that's not going to work for us.
Right,
Like, it's
right.
your wrestling. That
Right.
it's your, I
And your
appreciate
character,
it's
who
your
you
character,
are,
it's your
who you got.
wrestling. If it's almost like now I don't look at them as if they're babyface or a heel crowd as much as they are a hardcore crowd.
Right.
There's a lot of people who have been there and they've seen most things. So for them to come out of their seat for you, for them to cheer, for them to yell, you have to be delivering on a high level. And that's like the great challenge for the locker room is
Sure.
don't just say like, oh, they like the bad guys or oh, like find your way, because those are the places you want to, I guess, get over. This is
get over there, man.
the toughest places,
Sure.
the New York Cities, the Philadelphias, the Chicagos. It does indicate like you have the potential to do it, but every town is different. Like truly, every especially internationally, that's something for the first timers who are going on a lot of these tours who haven't been to a Scotland or a France or a Saudi or wherever. A lot of them are seeing the changes, the little things, you've got to be able to kind of every crowd. That's your instruments that night, So.
2.
Oh my God! Ooh.
So what you think about that?
That's the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. My God.
So after AJ the other night, I'm guessing we're on our way to Scotland. Is that where?
I think that'd probably be a good spot to do a second, but that'll come down to the totality of Clash at the Castle. Like I know I'm committed to being there.
Right.
I'd prefer it to happen there, but I could see it getting kicked down. But
I get it.
I prefer it to be there just because that's Scotland and they're a crowd who would dig that match.
Right. 2 Georgia boys. That's all I can think about.
Yeah, indeed. Did you have a good second win when you were wrestling, like in the ring?
With DDP Yoga, I didn't have it until then.
Yeah.
Because Raven, when I came back, he was like, and I was doing the stair climber on a roller coaster with 3-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
So nobody could blow me up. But when I just got on the mat and came back from that injury, when I came back, I fucking had this ridiculous win.
Yeah.
Because I keep my heart rate up the whole time when I was doing the program,
It's funny, the longer you do all this, the pop relief isn't the same when they're totally full up anyways,
Because your arms are swole. That's why.
100%. Nice.
I can remember when I first started and, man, learning those moves and successions and all that. I thought it was like the hardest, and the beating up of your body. It was the hardest thing I ever did until I really got out in front of a crowd. Then I realized, how do I make these people care?
Right.
So of course, naturally, my first instinct is it's to be a heel, because I'm a heel manager anyway. Stay being, and you got cheap heat, and and it's just, and today it's so hard to get heat, and that's what I love about Dominic. Dominic has I don't think he's got turn the channel heat because of the way he handles himself.
I don't even believe in turn the channel heat. Because what I believe is that if you are that cringe and that awkward and that makes you that angry, that you stay. If you're watching,
No, I love Dominic.
Dom,
I'm a big fan of his.
Dom is clearly. I know most people will say terrible, negative things about Dom. Like his current locker room, but Dom is. If I'm watching now, which I watch everything, so I'm watching Raw last night. Dom is the guy who I just was at WrestleMania 40. Maybe it's WrestleMania 50. Who knows when it is? But that's someone you're going to watch grow up in front of you and who's clearly delivering on the most important level. So people think of every fan and every wrestler can define wrestler different if they'd like. That's totally understandable. You can define it by best moves, the work rate. You can define it by tickets sold. You can define it by promos. But really, the area he's hitting, the human interest, the connection, the reaching over the barricade, the reaching across state lines, country lines, all that's, to me, what being a wrestler is. It doesn't have to do with wrestling all like that. Watching him and Liv Morgan last night, and I thought, like, this is wrestling, right? In my mind, I'm like, this. I get we work towards the matches, and I get all that, but it's always funny when you hear people kind of define who's the best wrestler in the world and things of that nature. And to me, it's so obvious. Like, it's the one that they're most connected to.
Right.
It doesn't no knock on any of the athletic ones, high or low, but just it's the one they're the most connected with. That's the best wrestler in the world. The one that they are dropping what they're doing to see.
Right.
And that's what I like as far as your skill set. And like you said, learning the moves is one thing and doing this. But then once you want that, and once you even have that,
right,
then it becomes, how do you keep it? What do you know? And then you find, like, less is more, but less is more is something that lazy guys use. They abuse it. That term is, I feel like, really only. I feel like that term is for people who understand what less is more mean. Meaning, like, get the most out of the smallest of steps. Versus you hear a bunch of guys who say less is more today, and I can just tell, like, I feel like it's because you're incapable of more. But
Yeah. Well, let me just put a button on Dominic.
Yeah, why are we saying such nice things about Dom? He's awesome, man. He really is.
No, just that he can get away with doing next to nothing, and he's got them. And I love it. And that he was thrown into a spot that he should never have been in. And he delivered. So good to you, Dom. I'm really going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch his career.
Most Nepo babies, that's what happens, is you're thrown into a spot that this could go either way.
Right.
This girl, they could fail, and
most do.
And to be, I think a lot of people who promote and book, and they in their minds are like, well, if they do, we tried. Like, we did this, we tried. Their dad or their mom, we tried. So there's not as much of a connection to it. Whereas Dom was very much a situation of, hey, we'll see if you can fly. And, the little stutters here and there, but to be able to take flight as he has, that's really cool to see. I love when a second or third generation kind of, like, outkicks that albatross of being one, when they kind of move past it now and they're building their own legacy. Because I've seen so many. I've had to tell so many people too, like, hey, they don't all work out.
Right.
You may not like this, especially if you're someone who's thinking about getting into it. Like, just because your dad or mom did it, you don't have to do it. Try a little something. And if you feel it, if it's in your bones, go for it.
So it's take the legacies out of it.
Yeah.
You have to be asked by 1 million kids. And some of them are 16, 17, whatever.
Yeah.
How do I get into wrestling? Like, what is your go-to answer?
I usually direct them towards anyone who says, I want to get into wrestling, how can I do it? I usually direct them towards the better wrestling schools that exist out there and the better wrestling trainers. And there really is a lot. So if I'm not saying...
Today there are.
There are.
There are.
And what's nice about, so places like, like what Bubba and Devon do, what Seth Rollins does with Black and Brave, what the Monster Factory does, what the Nightmare Factory, QT Marshall, of course, who I think is the best trainer.
Right. Booker T,
Reality of Wrestling, Dustin's school in Austin, and all of them fall into this category of the rings are proper rings, the equipment is proper equipment. It's not punk rock anymore. This is a well-run facility, and the militarization of wrestling schools, when you see that kind of get taken out, like doing Hindu squats and more just trying what this is. Trying what this is and seeing if you like it and if you don't. I always try to direct them to the best schools. Usually it's wherever they ask me, the closest one is where I'll say, hey, dude, go. It's just like, going into Howard Fine acting studio. You audit a class.
Right.
You can audit a class and know right away, oh my gosh, I have to be in this class. But you could also know right away, not for me. Bro requires a lot of work. Not for me. And I think with wrestling, like it's having those proper schools and if you're someone who's got a trade or something that you do well already, say you got a great shot put or your college football or college baseball, lean into it.
Right.
Because those athletics, they can yield you results in their respective fields, or that's an area where WWE is recruiting right now.
Right.
Is college athletes who are looking for their next step. And
right.
look at Bianca Belair.
Oh, what an athlete.
Right. And
gorgeous,
the
talk, she's personality.
Athletic,
and she can
strong,
work her ass off.
sincere. Like,
Yep.
she would have done better in that workout than I did. You know? So just an athlete.
You know what I tell them? I said, if you can't breathe without it,
Yeah.
you should do it. If you can breathe without it, don't waste your time. Because now the field is, I mean, there's a lot of places you can train that are quality places now. I mean, the odds of getting, to get the spot, I mean, you got to be where you can't breathe without it, and you live it, sleep it, breathe it, everything.
I tell people a lot that if you're just looking to get in the door, that's not near as hard as it used to be. Like if you're looking to get into the door to wrestling, that's not near as hard. However, if you're looking for the spot, it's the hardest it's ever been.
Right.
It's like the difference between commercial success and then that artistic success. Like it's just, be honest with yourself what you're wanting to get out of this, because there's so many content creators, elements that we need for sports entertainment and pro wrestling. So it's easier to get into the business than ever. But to excel at the business, it's the hardest it's ever been, I think.
On that note, when you walked out, and I've always told people, people who say, I believe when I see it, they never see shit. But the people who say, I believe it because I see it, and I know you, so I know you did. But when you walk away from the money, like you were making good money, and you had a decent spot, but you were never gonna get better than that spot at that. So you had to walk away from it. Like, were you at a spot where you felt like, I can't breathe without getting that opportunity to show what I could do?
So I couldn't verbalize it, but that's exactly what it was.
Right.
It was which is why it was so abrupt how I left. Which now, because of how I left, they don't let abrupt departures happen this way. So sorry. I literally put a post out before my release papers were even done. Like, I'm done. That's it. Because I needed to put it in the air and put it in writing so that I was held to it. Go ahead, sue me if you want. But I got to be held to this. I cannot function in this spot. But also, here's something that frustrated me that is going to sound like goody two-shoes or people might think is revisionist, but it's not. One of the things that frustrated me is I was in a position that I couldn't work any harder. And that sounds like insane. We can always work harder. I was in a spot on the card that I could not work any harder to get out of the spot.
No, I get it.
I was getting worse. So yeah, because for a full year of Stardust, I was thinking, how do we maximize it? How do we get the most? How do we make it work? It's the classic, not to be crass, but like making chicken salad out of chicken shit, basically.
Right.
But what if you had started with chicken salad? What if you know what I'm saying? What if you had actually, when you have the better ingredients and when you have a better situation? And for me, I needed to find the better situation. I was getting worse, fundamentally worse, mentally worse, promo worse. Every facet of you that needs to be involved, I was getting worse at. And the last thing I want to be is a guy who, he makes it work. He puts his heart and soul into it. No, I'd like to give you more than my heart and soul. It's just for this, though, as unique as that sounds. But I had to get out, and it's why it was abrupt how I got out.
And it was really... And I know you quoted me saying this because it went all over. I'll say whatever
best thing
happens.
that ever happened to you.
Gonna be the best thing ever happened to you. Yeah. And the craziest part is, because we have the same cue, whatever that thing is that we see, it works.
Yeah.
And once you started to believe it, it started. I mean, it kept coming no matter what. It came back around. It came back around. It came back around.
What? You know something, like you said it, and I don't know if this makes sense or if it's applicable to what you said, but I think it is. I lost all my fear when I left, even though I probably should have been the most afraid. Like, how are you going to make money? How are you going to, me and Brandy had just bought a house. I wanted to give her all the nice things, and she quit with me as well. So, but I lost all fear, and I lost all sense of wrestling politics. And like a good example, what I mean, like how this manifested was, it used to be if you're going to send a text or a message to the boss, you think about it. You sit on it. You look at it over and over. I got to the point where I don't allow that anymore. What I'm thinking is what I'm going to tell you. And I'm not trying to be cool, and I'm not trying to be political, because you can be the best politician in wrestling, but then the bell rings.
Right.
And that was something that I really liked, is that, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. If the answer isn't what you want, okay. That's okay. Like, it's like you said, the best thing that ever happened to you, and I don't know if I put it in context enough when he told me that, but when he told me that, I was really not believing this will be the best thing that ever happens to you. It was probably the worst time to hear it, but it is one of my favorite things I ever heard.
Yeah, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
If you can just breathe through it, and at some point, at that moment you didn't. You weren't. You were very shallow.
The breathing was really actually a real, in my head type thing. You had said, hey, just breathe. It was real because there was a couple of meetings just in my life in the past few years. There have been a couple of meetings where things that were said that I thought, I don't want to respond to that. Like, I'd rather, like, create. You had mentioned just breathing in general, and our brain and the oxygen and, like, the science behind just being there and being present, and it's been very helpful. Very helpful.
Good. And look where you are. Because in all of it, like, we sat right at this table, and is it really such a bad thing if you don't go over? You know what I mean?
Right.
Is it really such a bad thing? Because, man, and I just thought about it like this. If I was a fan, I'm double behind you now.
Right.
That was one thing. But the other thing was from experience and Kevin Sullivan, he's doing like Flair. I called Flair, and I was telling him something about something that I heard was good for him. And he said, hey, he goes, Sully's not in a good spot. He goes, you should call him. And Sully and I did a lot of this when we were working together. But after you get done with that, you come together like real family. And I love Kevin Sullivan. But even when I got there, and Gomez, do you know Joe Gomez? Joe Gomez, one of the best human beings alive. I love Joe Gomez. And Gomez was there with Kev. And I said, can you put the phone up to him? And I said, hey, Kev, I just want you to know I love you. I said, I know there was times we bumped heads and we got mad as hell at each other, man, but it made me better. And I know you didn't believe in it, but, I just want you to know when you finally did it meant everything.
Yeah.
And then Gomez told me he pulled his trach out and he talked to me.
Oh, man.
It was like, I didn't think you were going to do it, Diamond, but you did, and you pushed. And I mean, it made me cry. Like, legit, like.
That's a really a feeling I wouldn't fully. I'm so interested in it because when people don't believe in you, or when people go against you, the chip on the shoulder and the urge to fight it is so there. And then I feel like when you get there, you feel differently about them than you think you would have. Like, you feel there's a different, and they don't have to say to you, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, but like, there's an understanding in that, hey, you didn't, but hey, that's just a crazy feeling to me. There's been so many guys I was compared to or was put in competition against who I was lucky enough that I got to blow by them. And then once I did, I wasn't mad at them. If anything, I thought, man, I was never about them.
Right.
It was about me.
It's the inner conflict within ourselves. And that's something that I think if there's anything that made you grow, because I know what it made me do. Like, I was really, 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 really mad and was going to be asking for my release if Kevin and Scott couldn't make it go when I dropped the NWO.
Yeah.
It was my idea, but Kevin's the one who made it happen.
Yeah.
Kev pushed, and so did Scott, but Kev really pushed. And I was ready to freaking say it's done. And it pissed me off so bad. But then when I look back at it, I was like, wow, that made that angle that was supposed to be this.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest thing that happened at that time.
Yeah.
And it made me appreciate it so much more.
Yeah. I have an appreciation. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I have an appreciation for people who didn't believe in me, and an appreciation for people who still currently
Right.
don't believe in me. It's no longer a matter of, I'm going to show you.
Right.
It's not that anymore. I fully appreciate it. If anything, I'm open to what you think might be missing, but it's more here.
Right.
I've got to do me, and me seems to be working. You know.
Yeah, me meeting you, it seems to be working.
Yeah. So
quite well, man.
no, but that's funny because in wrestling, it's like the people you go like that with, you end up looking back at like, that was a good part, a good season, a good thing to happen. You know. Conrad Thompson tried to tell me that one time. I was fighting with the boys over something. He was saying that's how like the diamonds are made, you know, like through that friction. I thought, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You know, Conrad.
You never want to hear that, but then it makes a lot of sense.
Conrad is, I mean, one of the real guys in our business.
Yeah.
And he came in as a fan. He paid for me to come in, have dinner with his buddies.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
He was just a really nice guy, fan, and proved out to be one of the geniuses of our business when it comes to podcasting.
I feel like podcasting, like, but also years from now when people start doing shoot interviews and books on contracts and narratives and things, they might realize, like, man, Conrad was connected to a lot of important people and made a lot of, it's no secret, I've said this before, but the return to WWE does not happen without Conrad. He was genuinely just curious. Hey, just curious, are you really up? Is your contract really up? Because every wrestler who says their contract is up is typically lying.
Right.
I've been there before. So, but this,
so
this one was sincere, and that sincerity led to where we would end up. So yeah, big kudos to Conrad. I always curious. My fallback was, if WWE rejected me in terms of the fans, I knew I could come back to WWE, but if it didn't work on the level I wanted it to work, but my fallback was to do a podcast with Conrad called the All In. That was what we were going to do, Y'all In, because he had helped me with the original All In, me, Matt, and Nick, of course.
He was huge with All In.
Oh, I mean,
he was huge.
I'm giving you the subtle. He helped us a little bit. Starcast helped us immensely because it opened the door. We had freaking Road Warrior Animal rode his bike out there. The legends all wanted to come. They were part of it. You were there, like you said.
I did a workshop. I think I was one of the first or second person he called, which was so cool. And I always loved Conrad. I just thought he was a cool dude.
Good dude.
But when I saw what him and Megan took on, and there was a point where poor Megan, she was so tired. They were working around the clock, and I was like, I know it originally was supposed to be like 20 of the boys and 2 or 3 podcasts, and it turned into 120 of the boys. And I don't know how.
I remember seeing him that week and thinking he had been through the ringer, but we had given him some really like, hey, if you want to do Starcast, which obviously you can do whatever you want, but if you want it to be connected to All In, here's some kind of brand guidelines we'd like, and man, he was above and beyond. Like, well, make sure it all happens, make sure it's done that way, and he really, one of those guys that's really great for wrestling. Is certain people are good for our industry. Conrad's somebody who, it's good that we have him in our industry. Is helpful. I
totally agree, man. He's an unsung hero that people know about, but they really don't know like how influential he really is. They have an idea, but not really.
Waiting for all those interviews and books come out and all that, I got approached about a book the other day, and
did the company approach you about a book?
It was funny. I said, I don't know. There's certain parts I might not want to share and whatnot, and then the person I was talking to was, I think you should share it all. And he was really diving in. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think you should share it all. And now I'm thinking like, maybe.
Well, on that note, I know there was some filming going on all around, the behind the scenes.
The mystery documentary?
Yes. Have you seen anything of it?
I've seen it.
You've seen the documentary.
I love it because it's WrestleMania 40, and that was the greatest night of my career. So whatever the doc was going to be, like, the end result was such a.
Did they show any of your drama?
Has clips from the dinner. Has random clips from the dinner that we did. Yeah. I'm of the thought that if this documentary never comes out, that would pop me a little bit, just because then it becomes this urban myth amongst sports entertainment and pro wrestling fans. I also know that, and I definitely am not going to go above and beyond.
Say what you're going to say.
Well, I know that there's people being blamed for the doc taking time. It's not their fault. It's not The Rock's fault. It's not Brian's fault. It's not Roman's fault. It's not Seth's fault. It's not my fault. It's not Mr. Heyman's fault. It's not Triple H's fault. WWE is just trying to put together the best possible thing for WrestleMania 40 because it was such a big event in terms of 40 years of WrestleMania, and to have that crowd and have all these record numbers. So they're just trying to make it the best it is. But I also think because it's become kind of this online lore that it would be fun if we just never released it, or it would be fun if we wait till WrestleMania 41 to put it out. I think at this point there's no new news for it. I in their mind, people have their narratives on what happened. It's kind of like the man who shot Liberty Valance. When legend becomes fact, print the legend. I prefer the legend to all of this. Maybe a few things behind the scenes that I don't think will be in the documentary, but they actually, a couple versions I've seen, they might be in. Everyone was fairly transparent with actually, no one was false in terms of how they wanted to do this, come about it, and all that. But I'm kind of of the thought, like, never let it air at this point. Just lock it up for a while and we'll see. But again, Ben Hauser, who you met, who did my documentary.
Sure.
Anything Ben Hauser touches is going to work out.
Right.
So just put your trust in Ben. Also, if this never airs, then put all the heat on Ben too.
So and we'll leave it with this right here. Since we're talking about documentaries, this Tuesday it's about to start. Who Killed WCW?
I heard.
Have you seen the first? There's a 15-minute version they put out, like first 15.
I haven't. All I knew was because $7 Production was doing this with Vice, right?
Yeah. But they did it long before Rock was even involved with that.
I wish they had asked me who killed WCW, because they'd get a real Sun answer. I always joke that it was Jim Herd. It was not Jim Herd. Who killed WCW? It's funny that we're revisiting it because
because it's only been told from the WWE's angle.
But it also puts in perspective, like, I know Eric Bischoff online. You'll see people who love Eric, and you'll see people who really rally against Eric. But Eric often puts it in perspective how far WCW was pulled up during that run. And the fact that at the time, they're not there anymore, so we're not knocking it, but at the time, your Time Warner and your Turner individuals did not understand.
They didn't like it.
You have the best thing. Yeah, it's so I pity the fact that happened, because today one of the best things is you walk into a pitch meeting or you walk into any type of potential partnership and sponsorship element. You no longer have to be like, hey, this is pro wrestling and this is what we are. They have a sense of what it is now. Like, they're understanding that their preconceived notions on it might be out the window. And especially if you've seen something like a WrestleMania 40, you're like, oh no, this is what this is. Right. And I just wish somebody at Turner, back then you guys did have a few allies in the mix, but not enough in terms of overall. Hey, we have the #1 show. This is the #1 show on TV, and the other show is the #1 show on there. Like, this is amazing. Capitalize on this. Make this. It's a shame if you look back at it, and I say that from the fan perspective, because what could have been, what could have been. And that final Nitro, I'm getting like bummed about it, thinking about it now, and Stinger and Rick and everything. But it is nice to see it being retold. I never watch any of this stuff behind the scenes, because I like to live in the scene and not behind the scenes, because Oh, man, that's who you cannot give a definitive answer on who killed WCW. I've heard your story of the sale of WCW, and that to me was the most eye-opening story. Because to me, I thought like they didn't, like, people don't know some of the things, and I'm not gonna expose any, but some of these individuals who changed everything with a single phone call, with a literal, that they could have gone this way, but instead went this way. So very curious about it.
Well,
but also, if I have, Jim Hurd killed WCW.
Well,
Couldn't run a Pizza Hut.
on my thing, I want to see if they use it. So I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna come back,
Yeah.
and tell you what what I said to him. No, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but I've said it a decade ago. I've been interviewed at different times, and of course they've never used that.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they really go through this, and I like the tone of it, and I like The Rock being the outsider because he was a fan, and that's what most people don't understand. It's not like, to me, I don't see WWE coming in and controlling and changing the narrative. I see a guy who's very powerful, biggest actor in the world, so and elevated everything. Anything we're doing, he helps to elevate, and that's all that's about. But
It's different to get his perspective too.
yeah,
Right? The perspective of what you would assume be, we killed WCW versus that wasn't a great thing for the boys in the locker room, and it wasn't for the overall economy of the business. And to hear him, I've seen just a couple of the clips and the trailers of hearing him talk about how hot things were and where they were at, how hot they could have stayed. I wish Rock and I had a better relationship than we do. Destiny pitted us against one another, I suppose. However, I can fully, from one moment of eye contact with him, understand that he's still the biggest fan of what we do.
yes,
He
is.
Say it all. He's potential. If he ran for president this go round, he would win.
No, he would win.
100%.
He would win.
So
if he just started now, he would win.
He's got everything. The world is in his hands, but to be able to look at him and know, like, he's got the fever, he's got the same sickness, like that. He's got the. Even though we don't like one another, there's very few people you meet who are. You can tell, like, oh, they are into this. This is it.
He just loves it, man.
They love it, yeah.
He loves it. He loves it the way you love it. He loves it the way I've always loved it.
Yeah.
And those are the guys who really, to me, they have this different level of longevity. Nash loves it.
Yeah.
As much as he can get aggravated by
Still
it.
around.
Loves it.
Yeah, we let it. It's like a real relationship. It
Yeah.
gets you the most angry. It gets you the most excited. You can't, but you can't be without it.
Right.
Can't be without it. Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're out of here. Talk to you at some point. See ya.